News updates coming our viewers' way, but this time we move to West Asia, where we move, of course, to the defining crisis in the Middle East. And the Red Cross has said that it has transferred partial remains of 3 bodies, reportedly of hostages from Hamas, to Israel. The Red Cross says that the remains have now been taken for identification, and there has been no comment yet from Israel or Hamas on the transfer, and it is unclear if the remains belong to any of the 11 bodies of deceased hostages still being held in the Gaza Strip. Earlier this week, Hamas returned the partial remains of Ophir Sarfati, whose body was recovered by the IDF nearly 2 years prior. So far, Israel has confirmed that Hamas has returned the remains of 17 of the 28 deceased hostages that it had agreed to hand over as part of a United States brokered truce deal with Israel. We're once again joined by Shruti. Shruti, of course, this, as Israel and Hamas exchanges usually are, has been extremely messy. We have seen strikes from Israel after the wrong remains have been handed back on numerous occasions. The Red Cross has of course stated that these hostages and these bodies remains may not be remains of the Israeli hostages that Hamas has said that it will hand over. Of course, you can see problems both sides. How does one go about navigating this, especially given the logistical problems that Hamas is going through in locating the bodies through the rubble, of course, with help from Egypt, but of course, Israel dealing with those grieving families who are expecting the remains of their loved ones back?
Well, it's a messy situation, as you have said. There are people waiting to put their grief to bed, to put their loved ones in coffins and see their last remains and last rites conducted. And they are not being given that particular opportunity. So it's heart-wrenching on a human level. Beyond that, if I look at it on a geopolitical term, I see that it is unfortunate that the Red Cross has to deal with a terrorist group, a UN-designated terrorist group, and those people are running them around with a ring around their nose. Maybe this body is an Israeli, maybe it is not. So they're just handing over bodies which may not be Israeli, and whatever condition they are in, Israel has to go through an entire post-mortem scenario to find out whether it is part of the original 200-some hostages that were held by Hamas. So that in itself is very difficult for any human being to understand and hope for. Beyond that, there are unconfirmed videos of satellite and drone videos that are showing that probably these bodies are just being dragged out from random places and then buried and then asked to be rediscovered by Red Cross team via Hamas. So those particular videos add to a level of uncertainty, of authenticity, of intent by Hamas and its workers. It is sad that Israel has to bomb people to get their dead back, to get their hostages back. And it is even worse that the pandering to the needs of Palestine and Gaza has led to pandering to the needs of Hamas. And that is a very big moral question that the world has to answer in response to what they see in terms of the trade of these dead bodies and how they are being handled and how the entire situation is unfolding. If you put yourself in those boots of those parents who have waited for years and then still find that the body handed over in the name of their child is not exactly their child or may not be their child, is something that is so deeply hurting that it will be difficult to forgive Hamas for what they have done in the name of claiming Palestine.
Well, yes, and Shruti, of course, this US brokered ceasefire has been fragile, to put it lightly, but it is still holding, as it seems. How would you assess the stability of it, given that Israel, of course, as you have stated, has conducted multiple strikes, although, of course, not at the same level as prior to the ceasefire? And, of course, the messiness, as we've spoken about, Hamas reclaiming these bodies from the rubble.
But I hope the ceasefire holds at whatever level it is holding now. It's just a random bombing across the yellow zones that have been declared to ensure that the Hamas operatives don't take opportunity in this temporary ceasefire that is currently holding and create a new problem for the world or a cause for Israel to accelerate their aggressions in Gaza. Because ultimately, no matter what happens, if a small incursion is even planned, Israel will have no choice but to go all out and wipe out whatever is left in Gaza and then stand accused of human rights violation by the whole world. So it's a very difficult situation. Both the peacekeeping forces, the Red Cross, even USA finds themselves in because they have to find a middle ground with a group of terrorists which may or may not be willing to walk the line of moral and ethical values. And hopefully, Israel is holding its side. It is bombing. I believe the latest report claimed that in Khan Yunis area, about 40 odd people were injured in the bombings that had happened. But this at least is better than outright continuous bombing and elimination of people and buildings in that zone. So if Hamas holds its side, maybe there is a chance for people of Gaza, because at least without it, if they do not hold their side, there is no future. So I hope the peace holds no matter how messy it is, and I hope there is closure at the end for both sides.
Yes, Shruti Dasgupta, thank you very much for joining us here on the programme. It's always a pleasure to get your insight on these matters.